Hello students. So in this lecture we'll discuss the concept of translatory motion. Now what is translatory motion? When a body moves, when I'm saying a body, right? When a body moves, body means any rigid body, right? So let's say there is a wooden block. Now, how you describe a rigid body? If you'll take any 2 points and measure the distance between them, let's call it D, then it doesn't matter what the location of the object is, distance between these 2 points should not change. That's the meaning of the rigid body, right? Now, if this body moves, this body can move in two ways. It can follow a path something like this and it will reach here, such that point 1 has followed this path and point 2 has followed this path, and now the points are here. Still the distance between them is d. That is not changing, right? On the other hand, the body can move in this way also. You have the body here, it moves in a straight line and finally reaches this point. Now in this case, this point has now reached here and this point has now reached here. Now in these two things, right, in these two paths, we call this path, the straight line path, as rectilinear, and this path here we call it curvilinear. Now one thing if you'll observe here is that path followed by each and every particle of the body, path followed by each and every particle of the body is same, right? Which means when the block was here, if this particle's velocity was in this direction or motion was in this direction, then this particle's motion was also in the same direction. Same is the case here. When the block was here, if this particle was moving towards right, this particle was also moving towards right. So at any point of time, if you'll consider their direction of motion, they are same. So this kind of motion is what you call translatory or translation motion. On the other hand, if let's say you consider a rod which is rotating about this point, then at an instant, if I'll ask you what is the direction of motion of this particle, you'll say this way. And what's the direction of motion of this particle, you'll say that way. So clearly you can see here, direction of motion of this particle is not same as direction of motion of this particle. And there's a different name for it. We'll study it later. We call it rotational motion. So here our primary focus will be on understanding translational motion. So this was the first definition which you need to know. The second definition which I would like to tell you is the definition of frame of reference. So frame of reference. Now what this thing means? Frame of reference means a region or zone from where we measure motion parameters. What are motion parameters? Later you'll study. It's like speed, velocity, distance, displacement, etc. Right? So the region or zone from where we measure motion parameters is what we call a frame of reference. Or in short, you can say where your observer is. So answer to this question is your frame of reference. Let's take up an example. Right? So the understanding of this concept goes like this. Let's say you are seeing a car passing by. So you are having a car over here which is passing by, and you're standing on ground. Now, since you are the one who is observing the car, so I'll name you as the observer. And since you are standing on ground, I call it as frame of reference. So, frame of reference for this observer is ground. On the other hand, if let's say the driver inside the car, so here you have a driver who is inside the car, and you'll treat this as the observer who sees the world around him, then since the observer is on this car becomes frame of reference. So the region or zone from where you're observing motion parameters is what you call frame of reference. If you are observing motion from ground, then ground will be your frame of reference. And if you are observing the motion from a moving object or anything else, then that will be your frame of reference. Now, in a nutshell, what I can say is this, that a frame of reference can be of two types. Either it can be at rest, actually nothing is at rest, but relative to something, it can be at rest, or it can be in motion. Now, if it's at rest, that's fine, we can understand the object stationary. If it's in motion, then there are two categories of motion which are possible. It can move with constant speed, or it can move with variable speed, right? Or velocity if you want to say. So again repeat, your frame of reference like ground, you can assume it to be at rest, or a frame of reference like car, train, or anything, right, which is in motion. Now the frame of reference which is in motion can be of two types. It can move with a constant speed, or it can move with a variable speed. Now if there is a frame of reference, remember this point, if there is a frame of reference FOR which is at rest or moves with constant velocity, in this case we call that frame of reference as an inertial frame of reference. What it means, whether you are standing on ground, which I am treating as stationary, or you are on some platform which is moving with constant speed, in both the cases we'll treat these frames as inertial frame of reference. Now another way of saying the same thing is that if there is no change in speed or velocity, you'll understand what it means, why I'm putting a slash sign later. But if there is no change in speed or velocity, then we will call it an inertial frame of reference. So if initial speed is 0, then final speed is also 0. If initial speed is v, then final speed should also be v. So if the velocity doesn't changes with time, then you call it an inertial frame of reference. On the other hand, if you will take a frame of reference, in which change in speed or velocity takes place, then we have a different name for it. We call it a non-inertial frame of reference. Or in other words, you can write it as if there is a change in speed/velocity, then we will call it a non-inertial frame of reference. So that's the basic distinction between inertial and non-inertial frame of reference. Why we made this distinction, I'll tell you at this stage, but the explanation I'll not give you at this stage. This explanation will come in Newton's laws of motion, because later on you'll study something which we call Newton's laws of motion, and the point is that they are only applicable, right? They are only applicable for inertial frame of reference. Right, so this is the distinction which we wanted to make because of this particular reason, right? So Newton's laws are only applicable for inertial frame of reference, so you need to know what is an inertial frame of reference and what's a non-inertial frame of reference. So frame of reference, a region or zone from where you're observing motion parameters. A non-inertial frame of reference is one which has variable velocity or speed, and inertial one which has constant speed or velocity, right? Now the next definition in the series, it's what we will have as trajectory, right? What is trajectory? So quite often you will hear this term, and this term is basically what we call as trajectory. Now what is trajectory? Trajectory is simply the path followed, right? So trajectory is basically path followed by the particle. For example, if there is a person who moves in a straight line, right, and reaches here, then you will say trajectory of the person is straight line. Simple. If there is a particle which moves in a circle, so it starts from a certain point, goes back again to the same point, then you will say trajectory of this particle is circular. Right? If a particle starts from a certain point and goes like this, you call it that the trajectory is parabolic. Right? And so on and so forth. Right? So whatever path the particle is following during the course of motion, so whatever path has been followed by the particle during the course of motion is what you call trajectory. Right? So I hope you got the basic idea about trajectory. Now, what is equation of trajectory? What is equation of trajectory? Right? Let's see what is the meaning of equation of trajectory. So basically, if I'm saying, let's say there's a two-dimensional space, right? Let's assume there is a two-dimensional space. This is y-axis and this is x-axis. Let's suppose the particle moves this way, right? So what we say that equation of a straight line is y is equal to mx plus c. Now in this case, there is no intercept, c is 0, so I can write it as y is equal to mx. And let's say we are assuming that if m equal to 1, then y can be written as x. So this is the equation of this line. Now what it tells you, that if x changes by some amount, y also changes by the same amount. So if you'll join all the points like x equal to 1, y equal to 1, x equal to 2, y equal to 2, you'll get a straight line. Now, how we decided that? If y is directly related to x using this equation, by seeing the relation between y and x, we can say that the equation is a straight line. Similarly, if I'll write an equation like y equal to x squared, straight away you will be able to say that it's a parabolic function. Right? That means if I'll draw a curve for this, you'll straight away say it will be a parabola. Similarly, If you are familiar, then x squared plus y squared is equal to a squared. If you have an equation like this represents a circle with radius a and center at 0 comma 0. So my point is not to overwhelm you with the equations which we have here. My point is that if you want to know that what path the particle is following, you necessarily need to know just one thing: what is the relation between x and y. Answer to this question will give you the equation of trajectory, right? So what is trajectory? Path followed by the particle. How you mathematically represent it? By relating x and y. So